Aloha, and thank you for tuning into Hope Channel Kenya. This is a brand new show called The First Aider. I'm your host, Sally Oriko, and this show is all about engaging and teaching you and educating you on what you need to do to administer first aid to a victim or a casualty wherever you may be. I am joined with us by our volunteer, a resident volunteer from St. John Ambulance, Moniki Mogaka, who's also the training manager for Private Security Training Academy. Hello, Moniki.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
Now, today we are continuing with our episode on CPR. In our previous episode, we talked about how to administer CPR to an adult. Now we are going to see or learn how to administer CPR to a child and an infant.
Yes.
So, Moniki, what do you need to do?
Thank you. First of all, CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Cardio for the heart, pulmonary for the lungs, and the resuscitation, of course, to bring back the breathing and the pumping of the heart to its original state. Now, we want to look at if you have an infant, and an infant is 0 to 12 months. And chances are very high that the infant is not breathing. First thing you need to do is find out if the casualty is not breathing. And by finding out is to check whether the casualty is breathing or not. At least for the casualty, you will be having the infant in your arms. Yeah. So make sure you listen and check for breathing of the casualty. And actually, the infant you can even easily tell, because you can look at the chest and see whether it's rising and falling. And you can even start seeing the signs of a casualty who is not breathing. Maybe the lips are turning bluish, the earlobes. Or that can tell you this casualty is in a state that the vital body organs are lacking oxygen. So what are you supposed to do? What is the first intervention for a casualty, for an infant who is not breathing? In our adult casualty, an adult casualty, you will start with the chest compressions. But an infant is a special case. You need to start with kisses of life. You have to give the kisses of life first before you give the chest compressions. You have to give in the air before you push it to the rest of the organs. Why is it that way? The lungs of this infant are not fully, they're not big enough. Actually, they're developed. They're not big enough to hold any residue that you can pump so that it goes before you give in. So you're supposed to give 2 kisses of life, 30 chest compressions. For the infant, your mouth will close the mouth of the infant and the nose at the same time, because the nose and the mouth are so close. So you're going to give mouth to mouth, mouth to nose, kiss of life. So clean that casualty, then make sure that your mouth completely closes the nose and the mouth. Give the 2 kisses of life, then have the chest compressions using your fingers, appropriate force. Remember, the chest of this infant is not really that strong. So use the 2 fingers up to 30. 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 2 and 3, 4 and 5, all the way up to 30. That will make 1 cycle. You go for the second cycle up to 5 cycles. But in that process, you should be monitoring the progress of the infant casualty. So take note of the kisses of life first before the chest compressions.
So for an adult, it's chest compressions first. And for an infant, it's the kiss of life first. You will start
with the kiss of life before you go to the compressions. Then back to the normal cycle of chest compression, artificial ventilation. Yes.
Okay.
Number 2, what if it's a child? Is there any special or attention that you will give? And who is a child? Age from 1 year to around 7-10 years. That is considered a child. The only difference will be the force you're going to use on the chest. So the 2 steps, the 30 chest compressions and the 2 kisses of life remain. But now on the chest, you're going to use one hand. You're going to have your one hand on that so that you can apply
pressure.
Yes, the appropriate one. So up to 30 chest compressions, then 2 kisses of life, where it's mouth to mouth while you're closing the nostrils of the child casualty. As you do that, then you monitor and see the progress of your casualty.
And this is just taking the same precautions you would for an adult, making sure the area is safe, making sure there's nothing in the infant's mouth or the child's mouth, and then administering CPR on
Actually, by the time that you have arrived at the point of commencing CPR, you are taken into consideration the Dr. AB, danger, response. You had checked for the response of the casualty. Then you had even opened the airway. Then you had checked for breathing, and at that point is when you confirmed that for sure my casualty is not breathing. And in that case, sometimes you may check for breathing and you are not sure whether the casualty is breathing or not. You know, as a first aider, you suspect that the casualty is not breathing. But if you are able, if you had called an ambulance, or if you happen to have a specific machine which will check and confirm to you whether the casualty is breathing or not, it will be of help to you. Here we have that machine, and we want to demonstrate how you can use that machine to tell you whether your casualty actually is breathing or not. This is an AED machine, automated external defibrillator. This is for training purposes. But when an ambulance will come on the scene, it will come equipped with this machine. Instead of coming to use the mechanical method that you have seen us do here, they will apply this machine. So how does it work? This is an electronic gadget, just works like any other electronic gadget with specific instructions. So the knobs, they have their specific point where you place them. These are the 2 pads. And they are clearly indicated where you are going to place them. This one, you place it on the left side of the chest and on the right side of the chest. So you expose your casualty. And if the casualty, but for the infant, definitely the infant will not be having a hairy chest. But if it's an adult casualty, you will clear the chest. You will shave actually. You place the pads keenly on the appropriate position. Then now you switch this machine on like any other electronic gadget. It will tell you what to do.
Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient. Shock advised. Charging.
To even tell you which button to press and how that will happen.
Liver shock now. Press the orange button now. Not delivered.
The moment you press that, if it was the real machine, you will see the casualty
If needed, begin CPR.
being more like pumped up and down. It will continue assessing at the same time. Sometimes the machine can assess and tell you that the casualty does not require CPR. Actually, because when you try to check manually, you are not able to tell exactly whether CPR was required or not. So with the time, this machine will assess and tell you shock not advised. This is like the same system when you can wake up in the morning and find your car's battery is down. You jump start. So we're trying to jump start the heart. And if this has happened, you do it once, the infant does not respond. The second one, the infant does not respond. The third one, the infant does not respond. You take off the pads. You continue with your manual CPR. But remember, if the ambulance had arrived, by then they could have arrived in the hospital. The casualty will be put in life support machine. And this reminds us that For a casualty who is not breathing to survive, there ought to be a chain of survival. Maybe your infant baby was sleeping alone in the bedroom. So if chances would be there for that baby infant, the infant casualty to survive, that chain of survival has to take place. The first step in that chain is early access. The infant ought to be accessed early enough. The second step in the chain of survival is early CPR. Quick CPR intervention should be in place. The third one is early transportation to the hospital. As you're doing your CPR, the ambulance is on the way and they arrive on time. They'll be put on this particular machine. In fact, for them, they'll give them now more of a medical attention. And now then early life support. They're in the hospital, now they're in the machine.
Analyzing heart
And all
rhythm.
that will be done. Actually, now it will check and it can even tell you the shock not advised, meaning the casualty is breathing. So you can even listen to that.
No shock advised.
So
And
that
that's when
case,
the machine exactly tells you exactly what you need to do at what particular
Yes.
time.
Begin
So if-
CPR.
so if the shock is not advised, it means that you need to place, now this is unconscious and breathing infant casualty. You need to have the casualty in a recovery position. So how do you place an infant casualty in a recovery position? It can be at your arms. Have the casualty lying to your side. Make sure that the airway is open. Remember, an infant is very tiny, so the casualty is in your hands, your arms completely. So open that airway and support that infant casualty in that position as you wait for the ambulance, or even you can place the casualty lying on the sofa, the bed, as you wait for.
The ambulance.
Even the beauty about it, even in the car, it's easy to place an infant casualty in the recovery position. And that reminds us that anytime we are transporting our casualties who are unconscious and breathing consistently, let's have them placed in recovery position.
Yes.
Yes.
Does this mean also for a child, because a child is much larger, the recovery position will be the same as that of an adult?
Yes. Yeah, the recovery position still remains the same across all the casualties.
Well,
Yes.
well, thank you, Maniki, for educating us on that. Now, I've noticed that there's a lot of gadgets and tools that we use as a first aider. And we have understood that we need to have a first aid box with us or accessible to us, whether it's at home or at church or in the office or wherever it is that any individual might be. Where can we access these first aid boxes? Like if someone wants to buy one or purchase one, where can they purchase these first aid boxes?
One, you can find the St. John Ambulance Kenya supplies first aid boxes of all different sizes. The Red Cross Society of Kenya and all major medical outlets, all our chemists in town, they have the first aid boxes. Remember, all different sizes. In our shopping malls, the supermarkets, some of them stock these first aid kits. But what you need to ensure that those particular boxes you are buying contain the basic necessary supplies which ought to be in a first aid kit. Sometimes on our roads we see our brothers and sisters who are hawkers selling first aid kits
box, yes.
to us. In essence, if you open that first aid kit, it has like 2 or 3 supplies, which should not be the case. So you need to be able to know what is supposed to be in the first aid kit. And if you already have a first aid box, the only thing you need to do is to equip it with the supplies. And you can even improvise. Have a very nice small bag and go and buy the supplies from the chemists. You need to have the gloves, you need to have a mouth shield, you need to have a dressing of all different sizes, you need to have the bandages, you need to have Dettol or a disinfectant, you need to have cotton wool, name them, the tweezers, the safety pins, all those things. So if you know what you're supposed to have, you can even have it in your traveling bag. Have a small portion of it let's put there. So a first aid box can be customized to meet your own needs. Some of us have our own ailments, which require some specific medications. Make sure that first aid kit in your car has your insulin, if you have diabetes, has a few of the tablets that you use, so that consistently, if an emergency happens anywhere, you can easily access that. It's very critical.
Well, thank you for informing us about that. Well, thank you, viewer, for tuning into our channel. Please feel free to give us your feedback, write us, and please start with the word first aider. You can call us when the phone number is on your screen, or you can use our social media platforms on Twitter at Hope_Kenya, on Facebook at Hope Channel Kenya, on YouTube, Hope Channel Kenya. Leave a comment, like our page, and do not forget to subscribe. Thank you, Moniki, for joining us, and please remember, do not try this or do not attempt this first aid skills at home unless it is absolutely necessary. Please advise your children to also not do the same unless it is absolutely necessary. Until next time, I have been your host, Sally Rico. Be safe and God bless.